can call your journal.
So this time I'm gonna talk about Japanese and Korean entertainment. As somebody who was born and grown up in Japan, I know that Korea is my neighbor, but to be honest, I haven't seen so many Korean films or dramas. But recently, because of the success of such wonderful works like Parasite, Running on You, and Itaewon Class, and of course, wonderful K-pop groups and like BTS, I was getting interested in the Korean culture. So this is my analysis. Now, Japanese idol culture of boys and girls group, they seems to be focused or more on the naiveness and immature character of their efforts, and so that the fans can grow with the members of the group. But compared to the Japanese idol culture, the Korean K-pop groups seems to be more professional and sophisticated. That's one major difference between the Japanese and Korean idol culture. And another thing is that Japanese talent agency are always perceived to be having too much power and control over the casting and media like TV. So it is often said that there's very little creative freedom for artists, so that many idol group members, they have a choice of either staying with the talent agency and they will take care of the casting in major TV shows and so on, but they have to follow what they are told in the creative sense, or so they have the choice of either doing that or leaving the talent agency and to try to work from scratch on their own based on their own creative intuition. But that is only or often a hard way. So there's this systemic corruption culture and Japanese entertainment culture. Everything is rigged. So another side of that is that there's no serious professional business of casting. Most often, the major stars who are designated by the talent agencies to be major stars, they are cast in major roles in the large budget films and dramas without going through a serious casting process. So there's no serious audition, where newly emerging talents can compete with the already established stars to play a major role. So that is a really stagnant situation in Japan. So there's no equivalent to the Casting Society of America, CSA, which I know has played a really important role in Hollywood films. Now, why is the Korean entertainment so excellent? One theory is that traditionally the Chinese envoys, of course, the Chinese has been always a major neighbor of the Korean peninsula, and repeatedly the Chinese envoys would come to Korea, and the Koreans would try to entertain these people with the highest level of entertainment. So that is one theory of how the Korean entertainment culture evolved. And the third fact is that Korea is divided into the North and South, and this structure would give the Korean entertainers an underlying suspense. So everything they do, they might be appearing to do it frivolously on the surface, but there's this underlying deep spiritual tension which give depth to what they create in drama and film and etc. And if you look at it, North Korea is actually excelling in the arts and entertainment in its own way. So probably it's fair to say that there's this strong tradition of the entertainment culture in the Korean peninsula. Another very important aspect of the Korean entertainment culture is that because the Korean domestic market is smaller compared to that of Japan, there has been a stronger sense of needing to embrace the globalization more than in Japan. Uh, Japan is sometimes criticized for being too self-centered and not really opening up to the global market because the Japanese entertainment market is fairly large, but because the Korean domestic market is not so large, the Koreans had to embrace the globalization earlier and more fully. So probably that is one of the reasons why the Korean entertainment culture industry is now, overtaking the whole world. But having said that, I should say that Yasujiro Ozu, who is perhaps arguably the greatest film director ever to have emerged from Japan, known for his masterpieces like Tokyo Story, Red Spring, and Earth Spring. He's often seen as the apotheosis of the Japanese culture. But the fact is that before Ozu made these wonderful masterpieces, he was exposed to the culture of American films. He was a prisoner of war in Singapore during the Second World War. So it may be argued that even the wonderful, beautiful films of Yasujiro Ozu was actually a product of exposure to globalization. Having said that, I have stressed the differences between Japan and Korea. But I should also say that in comparison to China, Japan and Korea share many similar cultural traits. The languages are similar compared to Chinese, and also the ethical sense and family ties are the common theme in Japanese and Korean cultures. Uh, Probably, ethical sense and family ties may be stronger in contemporary Korea compared to Japan, but it used to be like that in Japan too. So if you are Japanese and if you watch a Korean drama, it almost feels like you are on a time machine and you feel as if you are mentally traveling back to the past. Um, Paying respect to the parents and elderly are similar cultural traits in Korea and Japan. And these are very important themes in Korean drama. For example, when the people drink, if you are drinking with somebody who is elder to you, you would hide the glass that you're drinking the alcohol with, and that's the way for Koreans to show respect to the elderly and parents. We don't have that in Japan, so we can probably say that this kind of sense is stronger in Korea, but we do have that culture of paying respect to parents and elderly compared to the West. So this is a differently nuanced, similar trait in Korea and Japan. And of course, emphasis on education has been a strong parental motivation in Korea and Japan. My own parents, they were really free spirited, so they didn't really care. I went on to a good university, University of Tokyo, anyway. But in my case, probably I was just, carefree, and I didn't really care about these things. But many parents do care, and this strong culture of emphasis on education is probably a common theme for Korean and Japanese people. Now, there are important differences. I think in Japan, love is portrayed as something ephemeral, transient, and implicit. This was glorified probably historically in the tale of Genji, in that wonderful epic novel. Love is always ephemeral and you don't express it so strongly. But if you look at Korean films, you notice that there are more straight and explicit expressions of love in Korea. So to sum up, I think, seen from a Japanese like me, Korean arts and entertainment, they offer a wonderful mirror to reflect ourselves and have nurture the metacognition for further growth. Because without knowing ourselves, we cannot really grow. And because Japan and Korea are similar in some ways and different in others, I think Korean entertainment really ideal mirrors to reflect the Japanese psyche. So for this reason, probably I will be, starting to watch some Korean drama, which I haven't done seriously in the past. I have watched Parasite, Crash Dashing on You, and Itaewon Class, but if I have time, I would like to see other wonderful works of art from our neighbor. So that's all from me today, and
Korea will meet again.